Hey everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ruth Perkinson, and I'm so grateful you guys are here with me today for my second interview. And today we have a beautiful guest with us. She's an amazing spirit, an amazing writer, a master gardener, just a sort of a Jane of all trades, as I feel, a Reiki practitioner, just a beautiful spirit. And what I wanted to do was just introduce her to you all. Her name is Severin. And before I bring her on, I just want to also show you what her very first book looks like. Her first book is called Making the Turn. And we're so excited to have her with us today. So, Kim, welcome to my YouTube channel. So grateful you're here with me today.
I'm so glad to be here, Ruth. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me. And the first thing I want to say is that book would not exist without you. So I mean, we have been on this journey together, but it's just been amazing. Every step of the way. I never in my life thought I'd write a book, and how it materialized through Ruth. She encouraged me. It's amazing when you put, the Course in Miracles practices into work, how it just kind of all falls into play. It's just amazing. So that book, you had written books and we had talked about it. We actually thought about writing one together at one point, and it kind of just took on the form. So I have to thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I think we are definitely sisters from other misters who came together in this part of our incarnational experience to really sort of get our loving acts together so that we could express all that we needed to come together to express. And I really feel like, don't you, that we've, in the last 10 years that we've known each other, we've really watched growth in each other, haven't we? We've really watched our growth in A Course in Miracles and in the writing too, right? Don't you think?
Absolutely, we really have. I mean, you and I have talked about this so many times, and I mean, what we say is that if you work it, it works. If you put the Course in Miracles principles to work, if you do your forgiveness practices. But yeah, as we look back, how we've known each other, what, for 10 years? We have both come so far in those 10 years, and internally, we have really changed how we look at ourselves, and through the forgiveness practices, which is the basis of A Course in Miracles. But what to our amazement is what occurs is the externals change, and the
Yeah.
externals change effortlessly when you turn within. And I shouldn't be surprised at that, because the Course in Miracles speaks about it so often, but it really is surprising. Isn't it a little surprising to you too, Ruth? How,
Yeah.
really how far we've come doing the
Yeah.
principle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It truly, I totally agree with you. It really has been a transformation in the last 10 years. I truly feel like I'm a different person today than I was 10 years ago. And you guys listening out there, I mean, Kim is the kind of person you really want to meet when you're doing A Course in Miracles. I walked into a Unitarian church 10 years ago, and she was sitting over to the right. And immediately I was like, wow, she looks like such a great spirit. And we made that immediate connection. And my whole life has changed since that time. And truly, we've leaned into each other from time to time, haven't we? We really had to, like, when things got a little bit rough in our situations, whatever they might have been, we've really been able to call upon each other to be there for support, right?
Yeah, that's another, absolutely. I mean, it's so nice to have not only somebody to bounce those principles off of, because some of the Course in Miracles gets a little heady, and you look at it and you're like, but talking with someone and through, some of the text and things like that, but also just to have somebody that you can call, like, I don't know how many times I picked up the phone, like, Ruth, I'm in Egoville. Please help
Yeah.
me get out of Egoville. And, to have a support that
Right.
is not going to judge you and is going to make statements to you based on solid principles of forgiveness and love. I mean, that to me is worth its weight in gold, because, sometimes you can't always go to family members for that type of stuff. I
Right.
love my family dearly, but it's nice to have somebody rooted very deeply in the same principles of love and forgiveness that you can turn to and know and trust.
Right.
And that's just, I mean, for me, it's just been unbelievable to have you, that I can pick up the phone call. And like I said, I don't know how many phone calls we have made to each other, but it's been quite a few over
Right.
10 years.
Absolutely. And we're talking to each other right now. I just get that sense of like, that's kind of the message we want to send to beings out there is like, hey, we really need to have this core group of people out there that you can find to your vibe tribe, right? Somebody who's doing the same thing you're doing, and you can really lean in and talk about the principles of A Course in Miracles or whatever it might be that might be supportive and helpful on anyone's journey. But let's take a little bit of a turn here, no pun intended. I want to talk a little bit more about your book it's called Making the Turn again. Here it is. Beautiful book. I want to talk to you a little bit about just maybe what the title means. And I know you had that pivotal putt, many years ago, back in, I think it was 2006, right? That really got your attention. I think it was a Holy Spirit moment, right? That got your attention on the golf course. So you can start there if you want. But how you started to make the turn.
Who would know that, you're going to be introduced to, a deep connection with God on a golf course. That is the last place I pretty much thought that, I was Catholic, and, I sat for many years in those pews at church, but yeah, I didn't expect it. But anyway, making the turn. So making the turn has two meanings. So at the time of this interesting event on the golf course, I was probably about as far away from my spiritual home, which is true love, as could be. So, and the funny thing is, this event occurred on the golf course, and the phrase "making the turn" is also used on the golf course, because in a traditional links course, you play 9 holes straight out, and then you make the turn at number 9 and come back to play the last 9 holes. So it's that phrase is used when you're halfway through, you're making the turn and you're heading towards home on the golf course. So interestingly enough, again, that's where I consider I made one of my biggest spiritual turns. When that occurred, it was, I was standing over a very long, very difficult putt. It was like 2 tiers. It was like 70 feet. I had a constant stream of negativity going through my head at the time. I felt worthless in many ways. I didn't like myself. I was having tremendous anxiety. I would have tremendous panic attacks. I was completely fear-based at that point in my life.
Wow.
And, it isn't like this event turned things on a dime, but it did, it was the beginning of the turn. So anyway, what happened over the putt, I won't tell the whole story, but it was just something, as I was standing over this putt, I was 2 shots down, and I was just going to lose another tournament. As always, I had never won the club championship. And this moment occurred, and it had to do with my late father-in-law. But I basically, I didn't have an out-of-body experience, but it kind of felt that way. It felt like I wasn't there, standing over the putt. It just was like everything kind of blurred. It just, I was there, but I wasn't really there. It just felt really etheric, or I don't know, like I was floating somewhere. And my father-in-law came to mind, and I talk about this in the book because he was instrumental in helping me with golf, and he always kept telling me, I was a horrible putter. He didn't tell me I was a horrible putter. I was a horrible putter. Everyone around me knew it. I wasn't a good putter. And of course I knew it, along with all the other negative thoughts I had in my head. So in that moment, I wasn't thinking about him at all. I was just thinking, I'm going to lose the tournament and I'm a loser, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, I'm just taken to this other place, and he came to mind, and it was just a very interesting experience. The experience probably only lasted 10 or 15 seconds, maybe 20. I don't know. It's hard to even say. But while I was in that moment, it felt like a very long time.
Yeah, it's almost like time just stopped, right? Time just stopped.
Yeah, time. Yeah. And I felt this feeling of love all around me that I had never experienced before. Just an all-encompassing, even though my father-in-law came to mind, it wasn't really about him. There was this all-encompassing, just feeling of expansion, feeling of, all is love. I mean, it's kind of like, you've heard this stuff before, but it was true. And then anyway, I came back when I came out of that moment, and I made the putt, and I ended up winning the tournament. It was my first club championship that I won. But what it did for me, like I said, my whole life didn't turn on a dime. Okay, I was still fear-based. I was still having panic attacks for quite a while after that. But it made me realize that something greater is going on here, and that I really do have a connection to that. See, I felt so isolated and alone. One of the funny things is, once I wrote the book, and even when my husband read it and some of my close friends, when they read the book, they said, Kim, we had no idea that you were going through that inside. And, what I tell people is, well, yeah, we all try to put on a happy face. My God, if people knew what was going on inside of me, if I was telling that, nobody would have hung out with me. I was a mess. I didn't like myself. I had social anxiety. I was so afraid of everything. But we put on our best face to try to just move through the world. And you think, well, this is just how it's supposed to be. And I think that's the biggest point I want to come to is, and Ruth, I know you'll agree with this. This is not suffering in any way, shape, or form, physically or mentally, is not how it's supposed to be. Now, those things can help and assist in the end. They can become gifts. But life is meant to be joyful and happy. The universe wants us to be happy. God wants us to be happy. And I think, yeah, you agree with that, right, Ruth? We don't need to suffer here, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are in this, what we might call sometimes the terrible, awful dream of separation, but we are making the turn, right, to that beautiful, happy dream of unity and innocence and love. And I think that's the message we're trying to really, parlay and give out to people, is that, hey, it's kind of crappy here, but hey, there's something beyond this, right, that we're making the turn to, right?
Right. And when you make the turn, that's going back to how the externals begin to change. It does become, Course in Miracles talks about this. It turns into a happy dream at some point when you forgive everyone and everything, and especially yourself. See, most of my attacks and judgments were directed inward. So when you make that turn, when you start turning around your thought process and your beliefs, the externals change. And I mean, my life isn't perfect. I'm definitely not going to say that, but it certainly is, in comparison to what it was. I mean, so much more peaceful, so much more calm. So, and in that peace and calm, there is joy. I think one of the other things people think is, oh, when you turn to God and forgiveness, that sounds so serious, and your life gets serious. No, my life has gotten so much lighter and brighter and more joyful and more playful. It's not serious. Now, sitting in that church pew was very, very serious. Don't talk, speak, you're a sinner. All that was very serious. But the Course brings about a change that is really joy filled. And I mean, I just can't say enough about it. And one thing that I do like about my book is that it's kind of a primer to A Course in Miracles. That, it tells my story. But for people that have never picked up A Course in Miracles, which, like I said, is a little bit of a, it's quite a
yes, it's a big teaching. Yes,
through that, yeah. This is, you hear my story, but also you get, some of the basic principles told in a way that, you can understand. So it's kind of a good, primer. Like, you could read it first and then pick up A Course in Miracles. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and to make the turn and to begin on the journey towards home. Again, I'm not all the way there, but I'm certainly heading in that direction, and I know you are too, Ruth. And we're heading there together, right?
Yes, we're absolutely headed there together, and that's well said. All of that, so well said, Kim. And so again, I just this book is amazing. I've it's helped me. The examples are are very heartfelt. I really love that opening chapter of that putt on the golf course, which is such an amazing story and testimonial to how your life can really right there begin to change. And it really got your attention. I think Spirit really got your attention right there on the golf course. And we think it was your stepfather, right? It was him?
No, it was my father-in-law, my
Your
husband's
father-in-law.
father.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Father-in-law. Okay. So, well, kudos to you for kind of giving that energy right there at that particular moment. Well, before we end today, this beautiful book that you've written, great course of a course, great student of A Course in Miracles. Is there anything that you would like to share with beings out there? Any quick tips that might be helpful as they are on their spiritual journey, working with their own families, working with their coworkers, their friends, as these energies are increasing here on planet Earth, and we're in this celestial speed up, kind of going back home to source. Is there anything you want to maybe mention right here in the very end of this?
Well, yeah, A Course in Miracles is not the only way to make the turn, and not the only way home. There's many, many things. Personally think it's one of the best, and I know Ruth would agree with that. But I would say it's very helpful to have something that the Course in Miracles has 365 exercises, one for every day of a year's program. To me, that's needed because the thought process that's in place for most of us is, it's taken a long time to set in, and it's going to take some time to turn. So that's the beauty of those exercises, and they give you a saying for each day that you can go to, like, if I have something upsetting or someone upsets me or something happens, I can go to that phrase and, I am as God created me, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. These phrases that, each day that you read about, you can use them. It's very practical. You turn to that and you take a pause and you turn within and just stop, if something's upset you, and you use that. But like I said, it's not the only way to get there, but I think a good practice, something that brings into practice these thoughts of the divine rather than thoughts of the ego, thoughts of love rather than thoughts of fear, is the first place to start. And then, just like we were saying, get some type of support system in place, somebody you trust, someone who has some of these good principles of love and forgiveness that you can turn to and you can call when you need help, because we all need help. I mean, I've been studying the Course for over 25 years now, and I still need help, sometimes,
Yeah.
things upset me, and, but the thing I know now is I know I'm off track. I know I don't feel good when things happen like that, and I know I'm off track, and I'm like, okay, I got to get myself back on track. So I get myself back on track a lot more easily now. But a support system is good. A good study system, a good support person or group, which Ruth and I have a little group we run on Wednesday. So anyway, if anybody's interested in that, Ruth can talk about that. But yeah, those are the two biggest things. And again, go through your day with love and forgiveness in mind. Speak love, do love, act love whenever you can. It really makes a difference. So.
Well, that's well said, Kim. Beautifully said. Thank you so much for coming in for a quick interview and being with me today to talk about your book, talk about how you've made the turn, and just given this sage wisdom, the sage advice to people out there. I'm so grateful for you, and thank you so much for being here. How can people find your book?
It's on Amazon, and just put in Making the Turn and my name, Kim Severin, and it should come up.
Gotcha. Great. And just for people who don't know, her last name is Severin, which is Severin, Kim Severin. You can put that in a search on Amazon and your book will come up, called Making the Turn. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Kim. I love you so much. And thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to you very soon. We'll have you back on. We'll talk some more with you and get some more of that sage wisdom out of you so that people out there can begin to really connect with you, with all that you're doing, and so they can be helped by that and supported by that. And you don't have a website yet, but maybe down the road. And if you wouldn't mind can they reach out to you via your email? Would that be okay?
Yeah. My email address is last name Severin at hotmail.com. Yeah, you can post it or whatever. But I just want to say thank you, Ruth. Thank you. You really are I mean, a beautiful light in this world, and I so appreciate your friendship and your help all these years, and this is so cool. So listen,
Yes.
subscribe to her YouTube channel. She's amazing.
All
Okay, I love you.
right.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for the plug. I appreciate that. All right. We're plugging each other. Yeah, there you go. We're really just trying to plug into the message, which is forgiveness, love, happiness, and joy in everything that you think and everything that you feel and everything that you do. All right, Kim, I love you. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I'll see you soon.